Welcome to Off-Screen Let's Get Cinematic. I'm Becks Perfect.
I'm Van Connor, and this is your 7-day guide to everything movies. Boom! Hi, Becks. How you been?
I'm all right. That felt a bit different. Look at us swapping roles just then.
Do you know what? I'm a total switch. I'm all about role reversal. But,
I'm glad you're a switch, not a snitch. That's good.
Exactly. Well, that's the snitch is the word, the most popular word this week, thanks to certain government announcements, of course, isn't it? So we should, in fact, let's take those first and foremost, because obviously, the coronavirus continues to ravage the earth and determine the fates of the human race, determine that we're in for a pretty lousy Christmas this year. Although it seems like we're in for a very busy Christmas, because I don't know if you've noticed this, but when they keep delaying films, they keep shoving them into Christmas week. I don't think there are enough multiplex screens for everything that's coming out the week before Christmas.
I just imagine there'll be a shuffle again. You just can't hold on to anything right now. You just have to wait and see. We were expecting Wonder Woman, we were expecting Black Widow. That's all been moved along. We don't know till when. It's a crazy time.
Well, that's it, isn't it? So, of course, the big news is that Black Widow this week, that's gone to May next year. That will be a full 1-year delay.
Wow.
That joins F9, the Fast and Furious saga, the Fast saga, whatever it is. That got delayed a year as well. Remember that? Do you remember when we were getting a 9th Fast and Furious with John Cena?
I know, but I also love the fact that you almost called it Fat 9. That just...
It's the only permutation of F they haven't used yet, I think. F9. It'd be Fat 10, that'll be what it is. Anyway, Death on the Nile.
It's when everyone from the Fast and Furious franchise gets to middle age and beyond, and they become the fat. No more Fast.
What do you mean, gets middle age? Vin Diesel's like 53 or something at the age, surely.
Shut up! Don't say that. That's crazy. He can still kick some butt.
He's probably about 47. He's probably about 47 if you actually look at it. I know The Rock's like 43, isn't he? Yeah. But so, of course, big release date news after Black Widow is Death on the Nile, which was due to come out in about 3 weeks' time. And I was looking at that on the release the other day thinking, wow, I've heard nothing about this beyond the trailer. It has now been shunted back to Christmas week, that popular week so far, Top Gun and Wonder Woman. Yeah.
Can I just say something about Death on the Nile? Because a friend of mine chuckled down the phone at me about this when they said, given everything that's going on coronavirus and given the fact that we need to look after our elderly, don't you think it's crazy that something like Death on the Nile, whose target demographic is people verging on death, are going to want to go and watch that?
They have legitimately said that as well, because the marketing intent for Death on the Nile, like Murder on the Orient Express, is audience than a traditional tentpole film. They have to take that one particularly seriously because, that's an audience made up largely of vulnerable people. These are not necessarily the same people flocking to see Top Gun Maverick and, Wonder Woman and Black Widow and things like that. These are not the kind of people that are necessarily going to race out to see the new Pixar movie. But yes, we've got those. And of course, we don't know the fate of cinemas at the moment because, as you just asked, before we start recording, you asked, do we know anything about what's going on with cinemas with the rule of 6, with the closing at 10 p.m. all this? We don't at present. I don't think there's any guidance issued.
No, and it's crazy. Like, if you can't do synchronized swimming in more than 6 people, how can you sit in the cinema with 325? I get it. So, we'll have to wait.
Well... Why can't you have 30 people at a wedding, but you can have 100 people in a pub? It's one of those things, isn't it? So either way, neither here nor there. If we start questioning the government, we'll be here all week and we'll have anything else done. Although I will say, and talking about the release date of Soul, I was very, very elated to learn just now, whilst I was doing my LFF must-see list for this year, because it's going to be at home. I'm going to get to sit in my living room, watch all my LFF screens. Looking forward to Ammonite and Another Round / Drook. Love a Thomas Winterberg comedy about alcoholism. What could probably go wrong? Pixar's Soul is on that list. I'm going to get to watch Soul in my living room for the first time. I can't wait for this. The first African-American lead in a Pixar movie.
Amazing. You better purchase the biggest TV that you can possibly buy so you can enjoy it in full cinematic glory at home.
I need my monolith back from storage in Sheffield. That's what it is. Right, so let's talk about our first review of the week then. Let's talk about Enola, because I know you've seen this as well. New movie based on the series of apparently quite popular novels that basically follows an imagined younger sister to Sherlock and Mycroft Holmes named Enola, we'll explain why she's named that in the clip. And basically, her mum raised in isolation at the Holmes family home, which is just the two of by her mother, Helena Bonham Carter, who raises her to be, an ass-kicking, whiz-cracking, hyper-intellectual, kind of in keeping with the family tradition, as it were, only for her mum to then go missing. And Enola, much to the chagrin of her older brothers, one of whom would much prefer if she was sent to a finishing school, run by Fiona Shaw, who seems to be reprising her role from Three Men and a Little Lady back in 1990. If you remember that. It's exactly that role, but without the libido. She decides, I'm going to go off on my own, I'm going to find my mum.
The first thing you need to know is that my mother named me Enola. She insisted on it, in fact.
Enola.
I know it's an unusual name, but my mother is rather a fan of word games.
On your marks,
Get set,
go.
And Enola spelled backwards reads, well, alone. Yeah. She would continually tell me...
You'll do very well on your own, Enola.
And yet, we were always together.
Yes!
So this is a film that has lots of stuff going for it, but with lots of what I like to call withouts. So it's like a superhero without the superhero powers. It's like a Guy Ritchie movie without Guy Ritchie, and it's like Cluedo but without the board game. It's all that kind of stuff.
Cluedo without a clue.
There we go. Nice. I like seeing what you did there. Apparently, initially, since it's been released on Wednesday, audiences really enjoyed this, which is great. The main thing is that you guys at home enjoy this. From a more critical perspective, I do think it lacks it's enjoyable to a point. I think it's forced to a point at the same time. Yeah, so I think Van and I were just having a little bit of a chat offline before I said, stop, we should save this for the review, where basically Millie Bobby Brown, who plays Enola, she is talking to you through the fourth wall. But probably, I like it in films when that occasionally, this happens a hell of a lot. And you're a bit like, we've seen this mechanism so many times and it's getting a bit tiresome. The characters in themselves, the most likable character, weirdly, for me, is Sherlock, because he's calm.
Yes. Yeah, and also, how kind of fun and charming is Henry Cavill in this? I didn't recognise it. I was like, oh, you actually can have charisma.
Yeah.
Okay. Why not have tried that with Sam? But okay.
I think Sam Claflin does a good job as Mycroft or Mycroft. I can't remember.
Mycroft Holmes. Yeah.
And but it's almost overly characterized in a way. It's too much going on at any one time. And Millie Bobby Brown strains it. And I think she is very accomplished at what she does. But it's almost there is still that child. She's not got that maturity just yet to hold the film as she possibly needs to. So there's a lot of things going for it. A lot of things that I sort of niggle at as well.
For me, I mean, I had issues. I'll be very quick because we've got to get to one more. But first of all, we just had was from the opening of the film in which she's talking straight to camera. That goes on for 5.5 minutes and includes the inciting incident of the film, which is essentially the mum going missing. It's literally, hi, I'm Enola Holmes. I've got this brother. I live here. I can do this. I can do that. My mum's gone missing. And you're like, why are you opening this like it's the sequel and we already had a movie before it?
Yeah, agreed.
That's what it opens like. I thought Cavill was really fun. Claflin's, intentionally kind of the stiff one. And Mycroft Holmes is probably the easiest one to get. Mark Gatiss has had a go in recent years. Stephen Fry had a really good go in the Guy Ritchie sequel. The fourth wall breaking for me gets a little old, a little fast. Millie Bobby Brown is carrying the entire thing, but she carries it pretty well, It brags a bit. It's 2 hours and 3 minutes long.
Yeah.
This needed to be 100 minutes, and the fact that opening exposition is 5.5 minutes and includes the inciting incident kind of tells you there is something structurally wrong with how the film built. Now, it's been directed by Harry Bradbeer, who's a TV director, British TV director, done some Doctor Who, things like that. Not a great effort, I would say. There's nothing here. There's none of that pizzazz that you come to expect from this. The whole thing plays like a Netflix pilot. A really long Netflix pilot. And to be frank, I would have preferred it were this a series because I could have kind of justified why it drags so much if it were more of a TV procedural. I don't think, because this was intended as a theatrical, I don't think this would have at all theatrically. I think it would have bombed. I think it would have earned. Having said that, what does works. 6 out of 10, 3 stars.
Yeah, one thumb up. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, now to the world of horror, because
okay, we're going to do it really quick and really, really chirpily. I'll be really fun about this. Becky, new movie from Jonathan Millart and Carrie Meehan, who directed Cooties back in 2014, which I adored. Yeah. But it was the child movie with Elijah Wood. Okay, so 13-year-old girl of the title, played by Lulu Wilson, who you might recognize from Star Trek Picard. She's Riker's kid. She's going away for a weekend to the lake house with Dad. She doesn't want to go. She's going to meet Dad's new girl, not his new girlfriend, but he's the girlfriend he's getting more serious with, and her son. She's not looking forward to it. And then 4 convicts show up and hold them hostage, looking for some mysterious MacGuffin. The gimmick here being that the convicts are led by none other than Kevin James. Again, this is not a comedy, I should point out. And it's left to Becky to basically take out these convicts, utilising every tool a 13-year-old girl could possibly find.
Call the cops. They're on their way.
Hello, Becky.
Better start running. That fat one, he's gonna like me to need a head start or something.
You didn't call anyone, sweetheart. I have your cell phone.
So I walked to our neighbors, the Griffins. I used their phone. They have a gun, too. So you better leave.
So I'm quite intrigued by this, and I know when we were looking at what films to cover this week, I sort of said go with a horror. We haven't really did a solid one for a few weeks. So
rather short, a drought.
Drought. Yeah. So how do you rate this one? Good.
I thought this was gory, brutal, bloody good fun. And I mean bloody good in both possible ways. I think Kevin James makes for a surprisingly awesome villain. Shaven head, big swastika tattooed on the back of it, massive I've been in combat beard. He's literally wearing the outfit I'm wearing at this moment in time in this movie, completely by coincidence, the red hoodie and the black t-shirt. Lots of fun, lots of inventive, gory deaths.
Tell you guys, it's without the swastika, just so I can just...
Yeah, and also I've actually trimmed as well, so no beard here. This is Funny Games meets the aggression scale. It is really nasty. For me to call a film nasty, you can imagine what that takes. Ooh. There's one of the posters for this is a collection of castles banded together and soaked in blood. And there is a very, very specific reason that is one of the posters for this movie. I'll let that tell you all you need to know. If you've got a weak disposition for movies, do not see this. You will not make it through. If you like a good, nasty, violent, visceral, cheeky horror flick, watch it. It's about 90 minutes long. You'll have a great time. 2 rousing films. Right. And I never thought I'd see the day when I said these following words, but you know what? Kevin James is great in this. Welcome back to Offscreen. You know what? It's time for one of my personally my favourite section of the show, which is this used to be just 1 block and now it's 2 because thank you coronavirus. It's the movies on preview segment, which we now pad out to 2 entire segments of the show. Unfortunately, this week we've got something of a slim pickings going on, so we are going to revisit some that we have discussed previously, starting with Saturday night on the Horror Channel at 9 p.m. We have talked about this, Becks, but as you said, you've never not seen it or really remember it. It is, of course, Legion from 2009, I believe, and starring Paul Bettany as the angel Michael, who comes to Earth to protect a waitress who is soon to be a single mum during what seems to be the early onset of the apocalypse. She joins a group of survivors, including Dennis Quaid, Charles S. Dutton, Thea from Arrow, Lucas Black from Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, and of course, and most importantly, Tyrese Gibson, as they band together in this paradise diner in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of like the desert, and the apocalypse basically encroaches upon them. And basically, it's Terminator with angels.
The last time God lost faith in man, he sent a flood. This time he sent what you see outside.
Are you saying this is the apocalypse?
I'm saying this is an extermination. Those things outside are just vessels. They're possessed. The weakest willed are the easiest to turn.
Possessed by what? Demons?
No. No. By angels.
Now, this is an interesting one because I think Paul Bettany, serious actor, chooses a good role. The idea of him, it's not something that I would choose.
The really strange thing, right? First of all, that year he did action movies that were very similar back to back. So he did this and he did Priest, which was the sort of sci-fi one where he's a sort of ultraviolet type thing where he was a sci-fi priest. Carl Urban was in it, and that one I've not seen anywhere near as much. That was a lot worse than this. This is a very loud and proud B movie type thing. Okay. This is the kind of thing that you would have made this in 1903. And you wouldn't have changed a thing. But Paul Bettany doing it, he played it. It was weird. Now we're used to it because this is what he did in Marvel. This is Vision. This is like a prototype for his performance as the Vision character in the Avengers because it's very, very pictured in the same sort of I'm not quite human, but I am softly spoken and very smart, and I will kick your ass kind of a way.
Yeah, gotcha. And I just have to say, I'm very excited about seeing WandaVision on It looks brilliant. I saw the trailer for that. For me, Paul Bettany is very much, it's, a beautiful mind. That's the kind of stuff that he's in, so it's nice to see this. I'd be interested in seeing this because of the shift of seeing him as an actor. Something completely different. I was wondering if he's trying to be, he thought this was his opportunity to be like Gabriel Byrne's as the devil. He tried to follow in that kind of work, but no, Arnie was in this movie. Cool. Okay, so Legion movie. That is, that's a good one. Horror Channel, 9 p.m. Saturday night. I suppose a good way to scare in your weekend, isn't it? Is it a horror?
That's it. Well, it is primarily an action movie, but it does have a lot of horror elements in there. There's a lot of visceral creature effects and a lot of horrible deaths and things like that. The teaser has a sequence involving a granny spider walking across the ceiling that was absolutely terrific. I recommend it. It's on the perfect time, 9 p.m. on a Saturday night, because you sit and think this was custom made to be a beer and pizza movie, and it's a damn fun one. It's not academically a great film. Like I say, it's a loud and proud B picture. But, it has that, look, we all love Roger Corman here, so let's just get to it. That kind of visibility.
Yeah.
I recommend it. There's a sequel series that takes place, I think, about 10 or 20 years later, called Dominion, I believe, that was made by the Sci-Fi Channel. Not quite as gripping. I like Legion a lot, though. It is ropey, but it's fun ropey.
Brilliant. Okay, well, I know you like them. And I'm going to lead us into the next one because I don't like this next movie and I don't know why you put it in this list. I mean, it's definitely not something you mention almost cast that we do. The little film by a little, so he might have picked up a little award. It's on Film 4. It's on Sunday, 9:00. It's only called Snowpiercer, isn't it?
Never heard of it. Never heard of it. Don't have a clue. Snowpiercer, the film I named the best film of the last decade for the BBC. True story. Genuinely did that. Wow. And I have no shame. And I did that just before Para getting all the awards buzz, so yay me. Anyway, Snowpiercer, which is basically George Orwell on a train, starring Tilda Swinton, Chris Evans, Ed Harris, John Hurt, Jamie Bell, Alison Hill. There's a hell of a roster. Octavia Spencer's in there. It's one of those films that you just go through the cast list and you're like, how have you gotten this many people to do a South Korean sci-fi movie? It's insane. And then you look at the film and you go, oh, that's how. Okay. Brilliant movie about a class struggle on a train running on a perpetual motion engine that sucks the earth after the climate apocalypse. And of course, rich people, poor people don't like living in the back. They want to live in the front. You're going to get there by any violent means necessary, which will occasionally involve Tilda Swinton's very Maggie Thatcher-like adjudicator dishing out punishment upon them.
As in the beginning, I belong to the front. You belong to the tail. When the foot seeks the place of the head, a sacred line is crossed. Know your place. Keep your place. Be a shoe.
Now, there's a number of casualties in this movie. Nate, the one I got most affected by were the cows that got part way, and you just realise just how cold it is outside. There's like moments where if you are punished by people like Tilda Swinton, you have to stick your arm through a hole in the wall. What?
I've just realised something. What you just said about that's the TV show.
Oh!
Because this is we've discussed Snowpiercer season ended. The first season of Snowpiercer, the TV series, just ended, about a month ago? 6 weeks ago? The cows are in the show. Because I went along with it. I was like, oh yeah, the cows. I'm like, wait, hang on a minute.
Your face is dropping. Are you okay? Am I right in thinking, okay, so I'm going to struggle to get the different, because I saw them. I hadn't seen Piercer before, so I saw it. I saw the TV series first, fun enough, and then I watched the movie. Now, when they stick their arm through the wall and have it thrown off as part of a punishment, is that TV show? Is that film?
That does happen in both, but obviously it started with the comic. Also with the comic, the comic is more like the TV show is more like the comic. Incidentally, The film is very much Bong Joon-ho's one, and the very big telltale sign is the fact that in the film it is basically a realistic train, whereas in the TV show it is like a 3-story high, half a mile wide train.
I was like, get me on that train.
I'll take a trip to Edinburgh on that one. Yeah.
Exactly, that's much better than the grubby trains I've been getting on into London. Snowpiercer the film, amazing, brilliant. You should watch that first. But actually, if you enjoy it as much as we do, so Sunday night film 9, then go and watch it on the Netflix series as well. It's a really good adaptation of it as well. So look, you've got 2 options there. So you enjoy and see how it evolves on both the big and the small, although you'll be watching it both on the small screen.
It reminded me a lot of when they made the TV adaptation of the first season of the TV adaptation of From Dusk Till Dawn, which was to take a relatively lean, muscular film and extend and pad that out to the full series and flesh out the mythology a bit. I never really saw much of the second and I think third series of From Dusk Till Dawn, so no interest in it, but same kind of thing. I think the film, though, I think it's hard to top the performances in there. I think it's very, very hard to top that cinematography and to top that writing and just to top the build quality of it. It's a hell of a film. Yeah.
Now, speaking of hell of a film, I'm not sure we can apply that to this next film, but it does take a good run of it. The Mountain Between Us on Monday night, film 9 p.m. Kate Winslet, Idris Elba, am I right in saying? Yeah. Now, they play 2 people who are essentially shipwrecked after their plane essentially crashes, and they're out in the mountains and they got to survive. They're stranded, and it's a two-hander. It's a two-hander movie, which I think is quite interesting. What?
I'm mortified that you, the queen of segues, did not go with something to the effect of a train in the snow to a plane in the snow. You know, I honestly thought that's where you were going with that.
It's been a long week. I'm not going to lie. I mean, the minute we finish recording this, so
you're going straight for the afternoon now.
But look, they play a characters called Ben and Alex. You know, they actually the place that they're stranded in is somewhere in Utah, and it is their journey home. It's a bit like. Well, it's not quite like it, but there's elements of Alive in this, which I very much enjoyed in the early 90s. But it's kind of bringing the essence of that up to a more modern time. Now, this came out in 2016, 2017, so it's relatively new. Again, performance-driven, people trying to get home. What else can you say?
There was this one girl, she told me all about this boy she liked, and, you know... I gave her my lipstick. Then there was an explosion, and she was badly injured. I took her picture. And she died. I can't take your picture. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm gonna die. Not today.
So the best description I've ever heard of this movie, and it's stuck with me for the 3 years since this came out, was this is what you'd get if you tried to turn The Revenant into a date movie.
That is a great description of this.
It's hard to unsee that when you had it, isn't it?
Oh, you just ruined it for me.
But I think they've got decent chemistry. The thing about the film that doesn't work is there is a subplot. There is a romance subplot in it.
Yeah.
that doesn't quite work, and I think it undermines what otherwise is a very good movie. There's a very good movie that, you get a lot of those movies, you're like, okay, I just don't want them to get together. And this isn't really that kind of, as the point, but there's that going on, and it's a bit much.
Yeah, it didn't need it. It's kind of like, think about driving, stop thinking about your libido. It's kind of one of those ones. And actually, for me, I continually watch movies like this. I watched Everest as well with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yes.
We just kind of big mountain, big scale, like big danger, and it always falls flat a little bit for me. And I was trying to think, I have a pun in there somewhere, probably. But there's just something that never.
It always avalanches for you. That's what it is.
I knew. Oh God! Why do I even need to bother? You've always got my back with these. And the performances are fine. Do you know what? In that. And don't get me wrong, I love Kate Winslet. She's an amazing. Did something that was just in that clip, in that line, wholly expected and just nothing new, which was just like, and then, and you just kind of go, that's acting 101. Take the breath before you deliver.
I'll give you the Van term for that. Okay, the Van term for that is she killed younglings, and all it that is because that's how Ewan McGregor famously delivers the line. I have seen a security hologram of him killing younglings.
Yeah.
And you have to do the clench. Just before killing younglings, you have to do the breath and the clench.
Yeah.
And that's the moment. That's when you kill younglings.
Yeah.
And that's what Kate Winslet does there.
Yeah, exactly. So look, guys, if you're Kate Winslet fans, if you're, Idris Elba fans, and you're thinking, I haven't seen them in this before, you're going to want to, and it's an easy Monday night movie for you. So it's worth a watch, just out of interest, but it sort of sits on the rating as a solid 3-star movie. Nothing more, nothing less from my side. Van, I'm pretty sure your sentiments are the same on that.
Oh, I'm just going with, if you really want to watch The Revenant, but you'd like to score afterwards, it's in between us, baby.
Welcome back to Off Screen. We are keeping you on the couch. We've got your second half of movies on TV. And kicking off your Tuesday is a movie on Sony Movies, 9 o'clock, Panic Room. It is starring a very young Kristen Stewart. And Jodie Foster. I really enjoyed this. So they play, I think, a mother and daughter. They hide in a panic room in their house because obviously everyone has a panic room in their house. And when intruders break in, but the intruders want something that's hidden inside the room and will stop nothing to claim it.
It's called a panic room.
What?
A safe room. A castle keep in medieval time.
I've read about these.
They're quite in vogue in high-end construction right now. One really can't be too careful about home invasion.
This is perfect. The alarm goes off in the middle of the night. What are you going to do? Call the police and wait till Tuesday? Traipse downstairs in your underthings to check it out? I think not.
Poured concrete walls, buried phone line not connected to the house's main line. You can call the police, nobody can cut you off. You have your own ventilation system, a bank of surveillance monitors that covers nearly every corner of the house.
This whole thing makes me nervous. Why? Ever read any Poe? No, but I loved her last album.
Very fun appearance there from Anne Magnuson, who only turns up in the beginning of the film. A thing we forget about this is that when this movie opened, which I think was back in 2001, I think it was about 2001, 2002, the idea of a panic room in popular culture was essentially unheard of. Like, this kind of introduced that idea into mainstream fiction, and since it has become a staple. Nowadays, we don't think twice about the idea of a panic room in TV show or a movie. Like, when Jack Bauer wants to get the terrorists and he flees into the panic room, we don't think about how that being out of the ordinary, because it's kind of started that becoming the norm. It's a great movie, though. I love a cast. Like you say, Jodie Foster and Kristen Stewart and Magnuson.
You've got Jared Leto in this as well. Great cast.
Well, that's it. Like I say, when you intruders, I'm like, it's Jared Leto. It's Leto. Let's call the whole thing off. And of course, Forrest Whitaker, or in this case, Urban Whitaker. And my favourite part of all of it is there's a moment in the film in which I think there's a pipe or something in the panic room, and she's able to use a flashlight to try and signal the neighbour. That neighbour, bearing in mind David Fincher directed this, that neighbour is played by none other than Andrew Kevin Walker, who wrote Seven.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Very weird little
The tension in this movie is brilliant. That's what I really enjoy when I watch. It's something that puts you in a position of kind of really empathizing with this mother and daughter and really understanding what they're going through. bit of a human study going on as well. Brilliantly acted, Jodie Foster, as you'd expect, but also from Chris Stewart. I mean, you look back on her now from where she is now and go, oh goodness, you know, she had it very, very young age. She knew exactly what she was doing.
Oh, yes.
And you know what? Sure, how old she was here, but maybe she was around age as Millie Bobby Brown. And the thing is that you can see that level. Yeah, you can see that level of maturity at a very, very different levels between the two of them. But obviously, very different films as well.
Well, for me as well, part of what I really love about Panic Room, part of the reason I revisit it time and time again, is I love the cinematography of it. And there's a wonderful shot that I don't think it's ever given anywhere near the credit it deserves for, that was revolutionary at the time, and it's a CG pan shot that goes through the kitchen, it goes through the handle of a coffee pot and takes us all around the house, and it's just this wonderful sense of defining the space and the environment, and because you know it's not a space that we know well, but it is a massive townhouse. So yeah, I really love Panic Room. I think it's one of the greats.
Yeah, it is a really, really solid movie. So there we go. That is sorted for your Tuesday night. Sony Movies, 9 p.m. Wednesday, very different movie on Wednesday, but quite enjoyable nonetheless. Called Rough Night. It is the story. It's the story of a woman called Jess and her four mates who basically after 10 years come together and they celebrate her wedding, or going to celebrate her wedding. But things take a
little... Is this the Hindu? Is it Hindu? Bachelorette? Bachelorette, that's what they call it, isn't it?
And things take a little bit of an unexpected turn when they accidentally kill the stripper that they hire.
Okay, guys, I can't do any cocaine.
I'm very jet lagged, so I will do cocaine.
So everyone's in.
Guys, hold on.
I don't know. Jess, come on, just do some cocaine.
Jesus, Ricky.
Sorry, I did a little bit of it.
Jess, it would mean so much to me if we could do a little bit of cocaine together.
So that's Gillian Bell there with ScarJo, and Kate McKinnon's the one doing the ridiculous Australian accent, isn't she? And I think, who is their fourth girl in this? Because I get this confused.
Zoe Kravitz.
With Kravitz and Ilana Glazer, are the exes together? Yes, because I adore Ilana Glazer because of Broad City, and of course Zoe Kravitz, as we all know, is just a goddess. But max points for the neighbours in this, who are played by Ty Burrell from Modern Family and Demi Moore, who are sort of the swingers who live next door.
Yes, yeah. You know what? Right. This is a movie that firstly you were saying about Paul. I was saying about Paul Bettany. You don't expect him to play the types of movie like Legion. I expect ScarJo doing a movie like this.
Comedy, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But it's she really enjoyed this movie. I'm sort of chuckling away and going, for what it is, it's a good laugh, and it's nothing more than, you know, a 3-star movie at best. But
well, there's a comedic pedigree to it that ties specifically through Ilana Glazer in it, because I think the director whose name escapes me is one of the directors of Broad City. Ilana Glazer is one of the two leads of Broad City, and I think ScarJo's fiance in it, who does the Natalie Portman in Lucy in the Sky bit, driving across the country wearing a nappy. He's from Broad City as well. So if you're a fan of Broad City, you kind of have to watch this in the way Workaholics fans have to watch Game Over Man. You know, it's that kind of thing. It's the same comedy troupe, as it were, but there's fun to be had, and the only thing that really sort of stands against it is the fact that it came out opposite Girls Trip, which was the same one with Jada Pinkett and Tiffany Haddish, and I don't think was as good.
No, I'm with you on that. And by the way, it was Lucia Agnello who directed this. So
that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, so female cast, female director. This is a lot of fun. This is your girls' night in. Let's watch something a little bit silly. You know, maybe you've seen Brides a million times before, so actually want something new. ScarJo, really good in comedy. You know, Kate McKinnon, obviously we know what to expect with her. Zoe Kravitz in there, really good. Look, good for all of the cast, to be honest. And it's a solid, fun girls movie. So, you know, and if you're going to watch that on your Wednesday night, enjoy it. It's on very late though. Film 4:05 p.m, which is a shame, I think.
Is it? Yeah. Want to record, I think. Record, save for the weekend, watch it with your girly pals.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what we got for Thursday then, Miss Perfect?
Whoa, we got a classic for Thursday. We have Kevin Costner. Absolutely love this film. A polar ice cap has melted. Of course, it's about Waterworld because most of the Earth is underwater. So it's on Wednesday night, ITV4, 10:05 p.m. Yeah, this is like crazy, Kevin Costner. This is, again, it's a film that I remember looking at it and going, oh my God, this is the movie that I really want to be in. But I don't know why.
This is a piece of cinema history, this film.
Yeah.
So, first of all, this is the film that, for a long while, I think for 2 years, this was the most made. It cost... Was it I think it might have been 180 million, which at the time was the most expensive film ever made. It goes on a while. There is now a director's cut called the Mariner edition or something like that. It's even longer.
2 hours 56. 2 hours 56.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, I think that's probably the Mariner cut as well.
Yeah, and also, Van, it sits comfortably in our golden age of movies. It's 1995.
It does. It reunites Kevin Costner and Kevin Reynolds, with whom he'd made Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. It famously was besieged by every kind of catastrophe that can be film set, namely hurricanes, which kept destroying the set. They had to build it times over. The press expected it to bomb. It became known as Kevin's Gate, in reference to Michael Cimino's Heaven's Gate. And do you know what the best part is, though? It co-stars Dennis Hopper, the late, great Dennis Hopper, as the villain. And the plot, of course, deals with the Mariner, a mutant fishman played by Kevin Costner, who has gills on his neck, I think that's the thing, and webbed feet, as he leads a young girl and her adult female protector to the long-fabled Dryland.
You've been there, haven't you? Dryland? You know where it is.
Yeah, I know where it is.
And we're going?
You and I are. Kid, we got to pitch over the side.
What?
My boat's tore up. I'm taking on water. I'd be lucky to get half a hydro ration out of that.
You know, I said I won't drink.
For 12 days? No. It's better one of you dies now than both of you die slow.
Do you know what the young girl's name is? Not the actress's name, but do you know the character's name? Do you remember?
I know the young actress is Tina Majorino because she went on to star in Veronica Mars. And no, not Monkey Trouble. That was Thora Birch. No, what's the character's name? Go on.
We've done this in today's podcast. It's Enola.
Oh my god! That's interesting, isn't it? Enola. Huh.
Also
very, very weird. But that's the thing. I mean, I think Waterworld's a better film than it gets credit for. It's aged quite well. I think it's gotten better in hindsight as well. I don't think it was that bad when it opened, to be honest. I wound up seeing it theatrically twice, I think, when I was 12 years old. I was a big fan.
What the one that really got panned? Was it? It was The Postman, wasn't it?
The Postman was, I think, not his follow to this one. I think it was one after. And that's going to lead me, actually, to our next film, our final film for the week, which is Friday night, 9 p.m. on 5 Star. It's Harrison Ford in Air Force One. Connection here is very, very simply, Air Force One was intended as a Kevin Costner vehicle. Kevin Costner turned down Air Force One to go on to make The Post instead.
No.
Yeah, no. If you think that's boneheaded, always remember that Will Smith famously turned down the role of Neo to go and star in Wild Wild West. So it's not the worst one I've ever heard, but it's almost. Air Force One, in which the president and his family are aboard Air Force One, right as Russian terrorists hijack the thing and hold him hostage in order to get, I think it's their political dissident leader, released from Russian prison.
Call him. No. No. I have no choice. You have the choice. Leave her alone. This is between you and me. You lose a child, it hollows you out. We're soldiers. You take my life. If you know honor, I'll count to 5.
No!
It's gonna be all right. 1. It's gonna be all right. 2. I'll do it.
True story about this one, by the way. This is apparently Donald Trump's favourite movie.
Really?
Donald Trump claims this is his favourite movie, which I think tells you a lot about the psychology of the man. But you can see it in your head, like Kevin Costner doing this role, can't you?
Yeah, I totally can. And do you know what? What a cast in this movie as well. Because you've got Harrison Ford, who plays the president. You've got Gary Oldman in there as well, as Ivan Korshunov. Korshunov?
Gorishevich? Something like that, I forget. I've not seen that. I saw it about 2 years ago. I love it.
Yeah, and also Glenn Close is in this as well. She plays the Vice and Catherine Bennett. It's solid.
Isn't Dean Stockwell from Quantum Leap is in this? Isn't he like Al? He was like the Secretary of Defense or something?
Wait, that I had. You're so right. He is. He's the Defense Secretary in this. That's insane. Oh my God, I love Quantum Leap. Wow. Yes, he's still going as well. Dean Stockwell.
Yeah. That man has worked solidly. I mean, I always remember seeing an early 90s TV movie, Madonna, in which he played her dad. That's one of the roles I always remember him in.
Well, there we go, guys. Look, that is impressive. So if you want to see someone, still a living legend in this, beyond Harris Dawson, Gary Oldman, and of course Glenn
Get
Close.
off my plane.
Yeah. Amazing. Look, guys, again, this is, let me double check when this film originally came out. I think this is in our golden years.
97. I think 97.
Yes, 97, you're right.
And directed by Wolfgang Petersen, who brought us one of my favourite ever movies, Outbreak.
Oh, yes. It's a pure pedigree film for you guys. If you haven't seen this, this is your end of the week. This is your Friday night. This is 5 on at 9 p.m. that night, Air Force One. Do anything else with your Friday night. Not that you can after 10 p.m. anyway.
Welcome back to Off Screen. And before we crack on with your DVD and Blu-ray offerings, your streaming offerings, let's just talk about 2 other films really quickly that are out, new releases this week that you can see in theatres or on digital. First of all, Monsoon, new movie from Hong Kiao, who directed Lilting 6 years ago now. I think it hasn't that long. This stars Henry Golding, and a thoughtful drama about an expat, a Vietnamese expat who's been raised in Britain, who returns to Vietnam to scatter his family's ashes, gets to know his family legacy a bit. Really great movie. Do check that out. Schemers, which is out this week as well. Basically a biopic for Dave McLean, who was a music promoter in the late 70s and 80s, went on to become the manager for Placebo. The band Placebo, who I hold very dear. He's also written and directed the film. It's very Scottish. It's very fun. If you're a fan of Human Traffic or 24-Hour Party People, don't miss that one. It's one of those things. Case Allen in the Matalan box set, as he would say. When you get 3 very tenuously connected films.
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah, he loves a Matalan box set, that man. But let's talk other DVDs that we've got out this week, because slim pickings. We're going to come up to a point, surely, very soon, when there are no new release on DVD. We've got to. But let's not hope that's... We've got to. So, this coming Monday, 28th, we talked about this as out on digital, and I think we talked about it when it was on digital about 4 or 5 months ago. It's Scoob, Warner Brothers and Animation's reboot of the popular Hanna-Barbera series. Recently lost the co-creator of Scooby-Doo, which is sad times. You know how much I love the Scooby-Doo brand, and in particular Velma. But this is a reinvention, computer-animated reinvention / origin story for Scooby-Doo that also doubles as an attempt to create a cinematic universe for the Hanna-Barbera characters, which I'm all for, if it means we get Wacky Racers movie out eventually. However, this is all about Scoob and Shaggy, who team up with Captain Caveman and Dick, have to take on Dick Dastardly and stop his evil, nefarious schemes.
Join me, Scooby-Doo, and I will show you how to harness your destiny and become the most important dog in the world. No thanks, Dastardly. Oh, please. My friends call me Dick. Okay. Rick? No, I'm not a Rick. I'm a Dick with a D. Rick with a D. Dick. Well, Rick.
That is just my favourite clip of the year, I'm not going to lie. And believe it or not, the BBC turned down that clip when I sent it to them for the review months ago, despite me telling them, well, Ofcom have had to clear that. So it works, you can use it. But alas.
I love that. I'm sure, Scooby-Doo fans are timeless. We if you love Scooby-Doo, you're going to want to watch this. It's easy to kind of catch. Available on streaming, so why not?
Just yesterday I was looking at a pair of Mystery Machine Converse.
Really?
I was really, really tempted to buy. I'm a huge Scooby-Doo fan, and I think the 2002 James Gunn written Scooby-Doo movie is an unappreciated masterpiece of its kind.
Yeah, I'm with you 100. Amazing. So there we go. So that is Scoob. That's like Scooby-Doo for the new generation. We're now just calling him Scoob. I love that. So that is available on DVD and Blu-ray from Monday. Moving quickly over to streaming, we've got Crazy Stupid Love available on Amazon Prime from Wednesday next week. And that stars it's got an all-star cast in this, hasn't it? Quite something.
Yeah.
It's a good rom-com. It's basically starring Ryan Gosling, Steve Carell, Emma Stone, Julianne Moore, many, many more beyond that as well. Have I missed anyone? I don't even think.
Did you just gloss over Anna Lee, the goddess Tipton, in there? My word, perfect. Honestly, Anna Lee Tipton deserves our respect and love.
Gosh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I'm not saying I watch a lot of America's Next Top Model or nothing. I do appreciate a bit of Anna Lee Tipton, but yeah, this is sort of a multi-plot. This is sort of an ensemble cast, and different disconnected plots sort of intertwined together towards the end, kind of rom-com. So you've got Steve Carell and Julianne Moore go through a divorce. Ryan Gosling is the guy who has to teach Steve Carell how to pick up women. At the same time, he meets a woman that he wants to romance, who's played by Emma Stone. This, I think, is the second of 3 films that they starred in, those two. Yeah. Because I think they had Crazy Stupid Love. I think after that they had La La Land and Before the Squad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's how it worked. But most people this movie now for, the gif of Ryan Gosling pulling down his sunglasses and recording in horror.
Yes, I think I remember that. Yeah.
You know the one.
I do know the one. But do you know what? I think it's a really good rom-com. Sometimes we've had a period with all these rom-coms. We haven't seen stuff that's worked really well. But actually, 2011 kind of worked around that time frame for this.
Well, before I move on, I'm just going to say as well that apparently Emma Stone discovered when she was making this movie that she had problems with balance and vertigo. So when they were doing the Dirty Dancing dance, when he has to do the lift, that apparently had to be a body double, which I think is incredible. Really, because I couldn't tell. Having said that, moving on to the following day, Thursday the 1st. You've got something you want to say? Go on.
Yeah.
Go on. What do you want to say?
I wanted to say about that because I think it was this movie, but that I remember seeing a chat show where they retold this story, and she got so freaked out by it after that lift initially by doing it that she went back to her trailer and had to calm herself down by watching Labyrinth.
I heard that, yes. She got under the duvet and watched Labyrinth. I remember hearing about this, yeah. I think, did Julianne Moore had to talk her down or something? I remember.
Yeah, like when I'd come into her trailer and be like, "You all right?" She's like, "I'm all right." I love that story.
Imagine having Julianne Moore console you.
I know.
That's wow. Hashtag life goals. But
let's move on because
before we go on to the one I know you want to talk about. Okay. Let's get the other one out the way because I know we're gonna lose ourselves in the one we want to talk about. Let's talk about we've got 2 films coming to Netflix next Thursday, 1st of October. Are we really in October already? Thursday, 1st of October. First film we'll talk about is Tucked, which is very enjoyable British film. It is a drama, but it's got a sweetness and a sense of humour to it that you don't really think of it as a drama. About an older drag queen who takes a young, newcomer under his wing and basically schools him in, the fine arts of drag queenery. I don't know, is there a term for it? Drag queenery? Stars Darren Nesbitt and Jordan Stevens. It's great, but I think, to be honest, I'll give Sense the tone for this.
Now, listen, a couple of rules you've got to know. First of all, there's no customers. Now, I know that sounds very obvious, but, you've got no idea how it happens. So whatever you've got in your panties, you just keep it in there, all right? Mm-hmm. Secondly, all your tips are your own. We don't share here. Now, generally the audience are pretty, generous as long as you give them what they want. Well, within reason, remember. What's the first rule?
No the customers.
Good. Now, third rule is if anybody touches you, inappropriately, you've got all the permission in the world to beat the living out of them. Fine? Everything makes sense with you?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Now, this is a really fun movie. I really enjoyed this. I didn't expect anything of it because I didn't know anything about it. And it just instantly won me over. I thought this was a really great, really touching film. But a lot of it hinges on how good Darren Nesbitt is in the lead. And Nesbitt is like an iconic face he's one of those guys, you don't know his name, but you know his face.
Yeah.
Like every time he turns up in something. Kind of like, I'm trying to think who else. Kind of like James Cosmo in that way. You know, you just know his face. Like, oh, I like this guy. And to be honest, it absolutely makes it hands down his film. That's on Netflix next Thursday, October the 1st. Check that out. I can't get highly enough. But what would you recommend checking out on Thursday, October the 1st, Miss Perfect? What do you think people should be watching?
I'm literally like a ball of energy wanting to talk about this film.
You are.
Okay, I can't wait. It's one of my favourite films of all time. It's out on Netflix again from Thursday next week. It follows a family from a little bit
a family
from a bit of a quirky household. They try and rescue one of the members, the uncle, from a gold digging wife who happens to have another little penchant of maybe about being a serial killer. And of course, we're talking about the 1993 film Addams Family Values. It's my favourite film like all time ever.
I love it so much. I often reference, because one of my favourite things in any movie ever is the moment in this movie in which Christina Ricci, who never gets the credit she deserves for Wednesday Addams, has to smile for the first time. And it's, for me, one of the great comedic notes of any of the 90s. I think this is not only one of the best sequels ever made, I think it's one of the sharpest written comedies of the 90s, because some of the gags in this, like the Angelica Houston's wonderful delivery of the line, but Debbie, really? Pastel. That I absolutely, and I think as you pointed out, you said you're a fan of Joan Cusack as Debbie, the evil nanny.
Yeah, she is. So she's Debbie. She is the one who essentially goes around, and her idea is that she is this serial killer whose speciality is to marry rich men and then kill them for their inheritance. When you're dealing with Uncle Fester, he can't be killed.
It's so perfect.
It's so brilliant. The amazing Raul Julia, as well as Gomez Addams. He is, R.I.P. He was an amazing actor. His chemistry with Angelica Houston in this movie is just phenomenal. Christopher Lloyd as Uncle Fester is insane. But the thing that tops it from the first movie is the expansion of each and every one of the characters that we see, and the ability to kind of learn more about them. So Wednesday Addams, fine example of this. She gets sent off to summer camp. And the way she absolutely turns it on its head is incredible, because they're celebrating Thanksgiving and she gives the real bloody, gory insight into what Thanksgiving is actually all about.
It's amazing, isn't it? That whole sequence. I mean, I could just do a podcast entirely about Addams Family Values, and I love it. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful, and there's so many great things about it. I love David Krumholtz as Wednesday Addams' as would-be boyfriend. I love the quiet psychosis that is Pugsley Addams, who apparently is Ariel Winter's brother, and I never knew this, Ariel Winter from Modern Family. I think I still, to this day, whenever anyone asks me what I look for in a relationship with a woman, I always say, I want the Raul Julia, Angelica Houston thing.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, they're amazing. But there's beautiful cinematic moments in this as well. So like the Thanksgiving scene when everything's burned down and they're watching from the dock across the water, seeing it play out. Like that is something you expect to see in like this epic movie of like a proper slaughter taking place on an island, and yet they brought this into this comedy. And it works so well from like just watching it from their point of view, looking on. The house looks insane. Lurch, all things that you just remember from the original like black and white TV series, you never thought could actually be done again and updated. They absolutely nailed it with this cast. What I don't want to see, and I know we've had an animated version of this, I actually don't want to see anyone try and do this again. Like it's so.
They did.
What? When?
Did you not know this? Right. Because Raul Julia died at 18 months after Addams Family Values, they did need to sort of carry it on in some way. They did an Addams Family movie that wound up going, I think, direct to video or direct to DVD, and it starred Terry as Gomez and Diana as Morticia. So
I do love Tim Curry. I think he could,
he was.
Oh no! Keith Frankenstein.
What would have done it for me? You know when they did the animated one last year? I would have loved it. I think we said this at the time. Why didn't they just get the action cast back and just get Banderas to fill in for Raul Julia? We'd have accepted it.
Yes, that would have been amazing. That would have really worked. Listen, guys, if there's one thing you do next week, it's you've got to see the Addams Family Values. You're right, man. 100% right. It is one of the best sequels out there. It just works in so many different ways. I could watch it again and again and again. And if you're going to do that podcast, let's do it.
But I mean, everyone's always banging on and geeing all this about like The Godfather 2, The Dark Knight. Nah, Addams Family Values every time.
Yeah.
Addams Family Values for me, baby, every time. So I would say that about kills it for us this week. We've kind of covered everything we can cover. We even managed to squeeze in a nod for Monsoon and Schema. So I think we'll take it. How about we take 7 days, we watch a load of new stuff, and then we come back. We'll butt heads again.
We'll butt heads again. Listen, fam, we've got this. If you're going to bring something like Addams Family Values back, we're not going to no headbutting.
No, I don't think anyone butts heads over the Addams Family.
No.
Those first 2 movies, those Barry Sonnenfeld movies, are legit. Yeah. But that's that's all we have time for this week. So we hope you have Addams Family valued our time. In the meanwhile, I've been Beck.
And I've been Becks Perfect, and we shall return.